Welcome back to Cossy Arsenal Podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. Arsenal won, Crystal Palace nil at the Selhurst Park on Monday night. Arsenal have broken the Monday night curse, which is actually very positive, but the performance is worrying. Those two performances from Arsenal against Nottingham Forest and against Crystal Palace at the Selhurst Park, they are worrying. We should be worried that we have become worse after spending 200 million after upgrading on our midfield. This team has become worse. This team cannot create chances. This team is not capable of breaking opponents down, and certainly Mikel Arteta has not gotten better at decision making and substitution. So is this a positive season? Are we really title contenders, or are we here to waste time? I want your thoughts on that game. I want your opinions, real opinions on that game. Many people are not happy. I'm actually not happy with this one. I'm really not happy. Who was your man of the match as well? Let me know in the comment box below. I thought Bryce played really well. Martin Odegaard was decent in my opinion. William Saliba was great because there was a lot of time when we were on our back foot. There's a lot of time when we had to deal with Ebelechi, Eze, and Odsonne Edouard, and I thought, William Saliba was on top of his game all night. He was absolutely phenomenal. Those are the three I would go for. I don't think we had so many good performances on the pitch. Saka, Martinelli, average. The rest of the team pretty much average, but I really liked Saliba. I really liked Odegaard, and I really liked Declan Rice was man of the match in that game. Once again, hit the like button. Let's get this one to 500 likes. Now, let's get into that performance. Now, Monday Night Football has never been easy for Arsenal, especially under Mikel Arteta. The 4 games we played on Monday night, we have lost all of them, apart from that game we played against Crystal Palace, and we have broken the curse, and that's very good. I understand how difficult Monday Night Football is. I understand how, probably the mentality around the team that we don't win on Monday. Monday games are very difficult. Everyone else has played and we are under a lot of pressure. Okay, I understand. But when you have those chunks of possession, my problem with Arsenal is not we are not managing games. My problem with Arsenal is that it is not that we are not all over opponents. We are actually having good possession. We're having 60% per possession, 56% per possession. We're having 14 shots on goal, right? So my problem with this club is that we are having possession that we are actually not using. You don't see where the chances are coming from. You don't see where the goals are gonna come from. For example, in that game against Crystal Palace, how many chances did we genuinely create? And that is a problem, and that is going to be our problem. And I'm really afraid you can't add 2 problems that are really very closely related and you expect to win the league. Our main problem is finishing. So most of our players do underscore their XG. Kai Havertz is not a great finisher. Nketiah is not a great finisher. Nor is Gabriel Martinelli, because you look at the first 3 minutes of that game. Martinelli gets a chance, an open chance. He scores that. Arsenal are in, right? The game is set, and he doesn't score that. And what that tells you is none of us goal scorers is ruthless. None of our players is going to score for you 20 goals a campaign or 25 goals a campaign, because if you want to score 25 a campaign, you've got to be ruthless and you've got to be absolutely clinical. None of our players is clinical. So the way you actually respond to that as a solution, you create many chances, you waste as many as you can, and you bury as few as you can, right? That's what we did last season. We created a lot of chances through Alexander Zinchenko, through Martin Odegaard, through Granit Xhaka. And it was alright because we're creating a lot of chances, so we could miss. Gabriel Jesus could miss 10 big chances per 90. Whoever got into the penalty area could miss as many chances as they could, as long as Arsenal scored 2 or 3. That was enough to win games. In this season, and particularly in this game, the creativity is not there. We are not creating chances. We are simply moving the ball around from the right-hand side to the left-hand side, from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, and so on and so forth. It is predictable, and it is not threatening at all. We lack the cutting edge in the penalty area. We lack the cutting edge in the final third. And we lack that threat. I wouldn't be, if I was any club right now, I wouldn't be afraid of playing Arsenal. I would give them possession up to 80%, 89%. I would just make sure that we are defending in a well-organized back five, and we have 4 players ahead of us. Those are 2 lines of defense. And I don't think Arsenal are really doing enough to beat those 2 lines of defense at the moment. I don't think Palace are the real deal when it comes to playing a defensive side. When we go to the Goodson Park, it's going to be tougher. When we go to Burnley, it's going to be tougher. Those are more organized teams that are under good managers. And of course, no disrespect to Roy Hodgson. And they have the resources as well. So that game should have been a wake-up call for Mikel Arteta that the system we are playing is absolutely bogus football. We are really playing bogus football. Now, his remarks about the game, he said, I like to win like that. I don't have a problem with winning, ugly. I don't have a problem with winning, ugly. If Arsenal had done everything and we had created chances and maybe we were unlucky, we were hitting the post, we were missing penalties, I wouldn't really have a problem with that, okay? We created chances, we scored 1, and yeah, we won the game. Scrappy. I like those wins as well. But this is different. We need to look at the reality. We need to look into the mirror. Like Mikel said at the beginning of the season, he looked in the mirror at the end of the season. He said, am I the right person to take this Arsenal team forward? He needs to look in the mirror after these 2 games. And he needs to realize that whatever he's employing on the pitch is actually not working. What actually, discombobulates me, we look like a team that has not had a preseason together. We look like a team that has been picked from, we look like Chelsea last season, actually, right? We look like Chelsea last season. We look like we have gathered players, right? We have signed 20 players. There are only 2 new additions in this team. But we look like we have not had a preseason. We look like we're a team that has not played together, for the last 1 month in America, in Germany, and even, beating Manchester City. We are far away from the standards we have set when we beat Manchester City. We are massively, massively far away. And I tell you, those 2 performances that Arsenal put in, if we put in that performance against Everton at the Goodson Park, you don't get a point. If you put in that performance against Brentford at the Amex Stadium or even at the Emirates Stadium, you don't win. And we saw it last campaign when Arsenal really put in a sluggish performance against Brentford at the Emirates Stadium. It ended 1-1. If you put in that performance against Man United at the Old Trafford, no point. No point at the Anfield. No point at the Etihad Stadium. No point against Spurs. So currently we are playing football that cannot beat the top 9 teams in the league. What are we trying to do? It's my question. And the question I have with Mikel, because he's going to come under a lot of scrutiny after this game. 1, why didn't we play this system in preseason? Why didn't we play with Thomas Partey overtaking Ben White? Why didn't we play with Tomiyasu more regularly in preseason? And now we have a preseason and a very different outcome in the season. I just don't understand. Preseason is when you test things. Preseason is when you get the chance to explore new ideas and see if they will work or they will not work. Certainly, that's not what we've done. Preseason, we've played something very different. It looked a little bit good. At times, it looked very, very awful. And in the season, we've actually played something very different. So that is number 1. Why are we playing a system that these guys have to get used to within the season, and we actually trained with something very different in preseason? I thought preseason was for to come around and just get your ideas into the team. That is number 1. Number 2, Leandro Trossard right now is our best player. He is our best player. And I don't care if Martinelli drops. I don't care if Saka drops. I don't care if Nketiah drops. I don't care if Kai Havertz drops. I don't care if Odegaard drops. Trossard is our best player. I'm asking a question. Why is Leandro Trossard not playing? Why is Trossard on the bench for the 100 minutes we played in that game? And, Martinelli, who was pretty much average, by the way, in that game, while Edin Ketia, who was really average in that game, by the way, and Kai Havertz, who is still average in that game. How is Trossard not finding game time? How is Fabio Vieira not finding game time? How is Emile Smith-Rowe not finding game time? I'm asking the question. It's as simple as that. How is our best player in Leandro Trossard not playing anywhere in this team? You know, when you do not win, or when you do not win well, and I'm sorry because I'm not taking any positives from this game at the moment. We'll do that in the 5 things we learned. But if we had introduced Leandro Trossard in the first 45 minutes of that game, I tell you, Trossard would score the Gabriel Martinelli chance. I tell you again, Leandro Trossard would help us create more chances than any other player apart from Martin Odegaard on that pitch. The problem we are having is we are focusing our game onto not conceding rather than the offensive part of the game. We are being very, very proactive, which I actually don't have a problem with. I really don't have a problem, right? Being pragmatic, it's okay. It's okay. It's very, very okay. But you've got to be at least... You've got to show that this team has spent 600 million in the last 4 years. You've got to show that this team has spent 200 million, and this is where the 200 million has made us better. I think Rice is all right. 105 million, that is what we paid for. Defend very well, win the ball back, lead the transitions. But the rest of the team has become worse. I think Thomas Partey is being played in this system, but the truth is that Thomas Partey doesn't have to play there. Where Thomas Partey is playing, Tomiyasu should be there. And where Tomiyasu played yesterday, Alexander Zinchenko should be there, plus Gabriel. We should go back to our back four, Gabriel, Saliba, Ben White, and Alexander Zinchenko. That has worked for us in the past. The only frailty in the system was that passage, right? That weakness, that weak link in Zinchenko's path when he inverts forward. Well, what we've got to do is allow Declan Rice to cover for Alexander Zinchenko because he's got the ability to do that, and the rest will actually be all right. So Trossard has got to play, Zinchenko has got to play. We need to play our best players. We need to go back to the system that actually works. As simple as that, right? We are the only team in Manchester United, by the way, that are playing our best players out of position. You look at Liverpool and Dominic Szoboszlai and, Salah. And, probably McAllister is the only player that has been playing out of position before signing Endo. But you look at Arsenal. Odegaard has been, Odegaard's role has shifted a little bit. We know that his best position is when he's arriving into the penalty area. That is not happening anymore. Partey, at the base of the midfield, has been pushed at right back. We've certainly not actually prepared for that in pre-season as well. And that is what we are doing. And somehow, right, as if that's not enough, our best player in Leandro Trossard has a very permanent place on the bench. It doesn't make any sense. It really, really doesn't. So the favoritism from Mikel Arteta needs to stop. He needs to pick players on merit, and Leandro Trossard has shown him that he is the best player at Arsenal right now. He needs to be playing football, like really, really good football. Okay. So the other point I want to talk about is substitutions and mentality from Mikel Arteta. This is not the mentality of the team. This is the mentality of the manager. I watched a couple of games over the weekend in the Premier League. West Ham picked up a red card and they played much better against Chelsea, a man down. Liverpool picked up a red card and they played much better against Bournemouth, a man down. Why is that? So when you look at the substitutions that David Moyes made when they picked up that red card, Mikel Antonio was taken off. Mikel Antonio is kind of your target man. He was taken off because literally West Ham did not have the numbers to wait for Mikel Antonio to get that ball and then push further forward. So what they did is they turned Jared Bowen into the attacking 9 or the attacking center forward, and then he introduced Pablo Fornals. Pablo Fornals is not your defensive midfielder. Pablo Fornals is actually an attacking midfielder. So what he actually did there is he allowed Pablo Fornals to get on the ball and literally play it into Jared Bowen and cause all sorts of problems for Chelsea, right? Then he introduced Edson Alvarez just to seal the paper cracks, just to make sure that the midfield, of Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo can actually be matched by one of the best defensive midfielders in the world in Edson Alvarez. Genius from David Moyes. You look at Liverpool, and when they pick up that red card from McAllister picks up the red card. Endo comes onto the pitch, defensive midfielder, just like Edson Alvarez. Same decision from David Moyes. But what is actually interesting is he introduces Darwin Núñez to the pitch, right? Darwin Núñez becomes your Jared Bowen. He's going to run them down. That is Trossard. That is why we needed Trossard in that game. Just allow Trossard to, come on the bench and then just kick that ball into spaces and just hope that he will run, because he will run. Or leave Martinelli on the pitch. It was a simple decision. We could have left Martinelli on the pitch. He could do that very, very well. So for me, guys, I just didn't like the performance. It was very poor. It was very, very bad. And I think we will talk about Mikel Arteta, the mentality of we're a man down, 25 minutes to go, let's defend for our lives. It's embarrassing. It's bad. It could have gone 1-1 because I think Eberezer Eze is unlucky. Yes, it was a dive. No problem there. It was a dive. But it's unlucky not to get a penalty for his dive, right? Because we've seen so many times those are given. So if Eberezer Eze actually gets the penalty and it is converted, it is 1-1, I don't think Arsenal would have come back from that. I don't think we would have come back from that. But anyway, I want your thoughts there in the comment box below.